All right, let's start today's webinar. We have a webinar where we're gonna go through why two companies have merged. So if you have been following our newsletters in the past 3 months, roughly, you may have noticed that we have merged with Seidat, and now our goal is to uh, develop the ultimate tool for hospitality sales. Um, Before we go any further, I would like to point out that these are our social media channels. Visualizer also has channels which we have used in the past, but in the future we will continue with Seidat's social media channels, and that's where we're gonna update most of the upcoming stuff first, so you can take those and start to follow them. Quickly about today's agenda, we have a few things to cover. We're gonna explain briefly why we merged the two companies, Seidat and Visualizer. Then we're gonna refresh a bit on what the Visualizer Visit is and what are the best functionalities of it. And then we're gonna cover what Seidat is and has been. And then we're gonna see what the common future is gonna be, which is the best hospitality tool in the world. And then if we have some time, and if you guys have any questions, we have a few minutes to go through questions and answers at the end. We also have a live chat open
Okay.
in the um, in the Google Meet, so you can ask questions during the webinar at any time. It's either me, Mika, or Evert, who's Seidat Marketing here, might answer. So any questions you have, please go ahead and shoot them out loud. But yeah, before we go any further, let's introduce who we are. I'm Joona Taskinen, and I've been at Seidat, the company Visualize merged with, since October 2017. So 7.5 years roughly now. So quite a thorough understanding of what Seidat is. And from the start of the year, I'm responsible for all the Visualizer Visit and Visualizer Assistant customers, together, of course, with the rest of the team. And I will continue managing the onboarding and Seidat workspace setup going forward as well. And then I'll give microphone to Mika.
Hi, everyone. Some of you might already know me or recognize me from perhaps emails. My name is Mika Lemström. I've been working with Visualizer since the very beginning and full-time since 2015, so around 10 years now. My focus since the beginning has been on all the technical aspects of the system, as well as taking care of our customers by helping them with the onboarding and keeping their materials up to date and building their Visualizer visits in the beginning of our cooperation. And like Joona said before, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to type them in the chat, or of course after the webinar you can also contact us via email or even call us if you so want.
Perfect. But yeah, let's start with why did we merge? Why did we merge two companies? That's always a great question when merging happens. And the short answer, which I already pretty much gave out, is to allow us to develop the best hospitality sales tool. Joining the forces allows us to have the best team in the world in position to do this, and also the expertise both companies have gained in the past, and also the features go really well together that both of the tools have created in the past. And now that we will merge them, it is quite possible that we will succeed in the goal. A few figures of Seidat Visualizer. In the future, we're going to follow the Seidat brand, so that's why we are referring to Seidat, even though we incorporate Visualizer figures in this, and in the future I will discuss more about Seidat. So it's from that point of view. So we have over 5 million slides in Seidat at the moment, including the 360-degree presentations. As Mika said, the company, or pretty much both companies, were established at the same time in 2015. We have over 18,000 users in I think more than 30 countries actively using either of the tools, and our combined annual recurring revenue is over 1 million euros. We are a group of 15 people, mostly working here in Helsinki, Finland, but we have some foots or feet on the ground in Stockholm as well. And yeah, that's pretty much the gist of the companies put together. The industries that we've been serving is mainly hospitality, and Visualizer has been focused pretty much only on hospitality sector, creating the tool for that sector specifically. Whereas Seidat in the past has been more of a general tool for any company with active sales teams, and Seidat's previous industries where we've been strong have been companies who sell professional services or are in the industrial manufacturing, tech and software, or building industry. So they are very miscellaneous group. Besides these 4 sectors that we of course have some clients in hospitality, and I think once that we checked the different industries it was roughly 50 different industries that Seidat served. Some big, some small, but anyways, it's been a tool, quite generic tool in a way, to serve different kind of industries and their needs, because the sales needs in many industries follow the similar patterns. Even though hospitality sales has different needs than industrial manufacturing, some of the aspects are the same. Our aim is to help any salespeople to close more deals, and we've been quite successful in getting the 18,000 users to use Seidat. We have pretty good user score or happiness with the tool, and here are some of the feedback or reviews we have received in the past about the service and the application itself. You probably won't have the time to read these, but anyways, just to go forward, people have been happy of using Seidat. But let's go back to Mika, who will now refresh a bit of the Visualizer visit side.
Right. So I figured we would do this by using a live example. One of our customers in the UK. This is DoubleTree by Hilton Manchester Piccadilly, and I would walk you through as a refresher on how a meetings and incentive sales department would use our Visualizer Visit product. So usually when our customers have their Visualizer Visits in sales use, they either start from the outside of their hotel or their conference center or whatever their venue might be. The other option is, of course, to start directly from meetings and event spaces. And once they have maybe introduced their premise a bit in more generic ways, such as here in the DoubleTree by Hilton Manchester Piccadilly, they might go through the location as well, which is available here on the right side as well. But when they start to focus on the meeting or event sale itself, they usually start from room capacities. So they open the capacity chart, and for example, if the customer is interested in organizing a banquet event or a specific, say, theater setup event, they would organize the chart with that capacity in mind, and then they might look at some images of the spaces. So perhaps this one would be interesting to the customer. In case they want to see another option, they can still keep the chart open and view something else. But once they are interested in one of the rooms, then they just enter the room from the capacity chart. Usually we recommend that the room is photographed in 360 image in the most important table formation of that room. So in this case, for example, this is a cabaret setup. But then they will also include some images in different table formations, or maybe some like this one, for example, just to give an idea of what the atmosphere or the feeling of the room may be in their event. Then once they are, shall we say, interested in this specific room, the next thing usually the meeting sales department would want to show is the room's location in the floor plan. So if we zoom in a bit, we can see that this is the area that we were looking at. You can see that it can be divided into 3 different sections. The breakout gallery is right next door to it. And you can see the elevators and the bathrooms and all things that might interest the potential customer, locations and the areas in the floor plan. They might also be interested in, of course, looking at the breakout area, so you can directly navigate to that from the floor plan. Then let's go back to the room that they were interested in, and when they have requested a proposal from you from the hotel, we recommend adding a direct link to that offer or email or whatever you might be sending to that customer. So here you can see the direct link, and if you look at the link, you can see that it updates as I rotate the image. So you can not only share a image or a room, but you can also share a view. For example, here you can see that there are large windows with plenty of daylight, so you might want to share, for example, this view. And of course, you can also include a direct link to the breakout room as well. Then there's also the opportunity to include some information regarding the room. So if we go back to the Palaces room, you can see that we have a description text here. We usually recommend having a short description text as well as bullet points of the main features, for example, the different room capacities in different table formations, as well as meeting room equipment and things like this. And then basically it's a question of just creating the offer, including the links. Then when the potential customer opens the links, they can go through all the things that you have discussed in your meeting. They see the hotel information. They can see the location on an interactive map, and they can, even if they want to in-house share something from the presentation, they can do the same thing that you have just done. When creating the offer, they can click the share button and copy the direct link and share that within their organization. I will include a tip from another presentation, which some of our customers do that might not be something that you as Visualize and Visit users have done yourself. If we look at Paasitorni, one of our Finnish customers, and we click the space features button here, you can see that we are actually showing the information from their website. So if you want to look into something like this, you can contact me or Joona afterwards, and we can see what if your website, this is basically just as it is on their website, so no need to configure anything on the website. We have just embedded it to this placeholder. They have actually at Paasitorni also done the request for proposal content the same way. So this is run from their website. The obvious benefit of this is that if you want to update something, for example, something changes within the room, the capacities are different or the equipment is different, that's usually updated on the website. So this way, the way that Paasitorni have done it, it's also automatically updated in the Visualize and Visit. That's a quick reminder of the Visualize Visit product, and I will now let Joona continue with the Seidat product, after which we will discuss just a little bit of what the future of combining these two products will look like. Joona, go ahead.
Perfect, thank you. Yes, let's cover what Seidat is and has been tackling for the past 10 years. So we have been building a tool, a sales tool, to help sales team, especially to create and present presentations. So it's a presentation tool, and those are the basic building blocks of any presentation tool that you can create and present there. Sharing is typically something that might already be challenging with some tools, and cumbersome sending some files to the clients and all that. We have fixed that with easy link sharing to the customers. We have internal analytics which allow the sales manager or the individual salesperson to analyze how the material has been viewed. And on the bigger picture, we have the possibility to develop and manage the materials that the customers are then seeing, that they are up to date. And as a sort of, not so much on the higher level, but a feature is an e-signature feature that allows you to have the proposals or anything that you need signing for, and send them to be signed within one platform. So it's very comprehensive presentation tool designed to be used by well, anyone in sales presenting any material to the client. And how you typically build any material is that you start with the marketing first. That marketing might create some materials that the presentation is started with. Then you add layers that the product people or the typical industry request, or what's the word, what the industry needs are. You might add those slides, and then the sales guys might add some slides. And typically this is a very iterative process that different persons might add different content, and it is very hard to manage all this, and so that it's following the brand guidelines, it's up to date, and that is also one thing that we have tasked to fix. Sales presentations in Seidat are a bit different in their structure than what you might have in typical tools like PowerPoint, for example. In Seidat, you can have presentations which are multidimensional, what we like to call matrix structure, that you can have the top level of the material in your sales presentation or proposal, and then you can have slides that go down a bit more into details of the, let's say, individual space, for example. So you may have the different spaces on the top, and then you can have the different features of the space listed down below. All of the material lives in one place, so anyone from the sales team or marketing team has access to all of the material at all times from any device, essentially, improving the transparency and the speed of which you can make updates to the materials. That is one of the core features of Seidat, that the materials can be easily accessed and updated by pretty much anyone with sufficient access. I will actually skip that, go a bit further. Seidat obviously can be used with any device, regardless of if it's a desktop device, iOS device, Android phone, or Windows laptop. It doesn't matter. It works on all of them. You can use it online or offline. And a few of the other features that I didn't mention is that the tool and the future shared tool will also have is brand management, so you can manage the materials that you have much more efficiently. Let's say your brand gets an update and the font changes from one to something else, then that can be updated relatively easily. You have an internal media bank that you can update. You can replace some of the old assets, for example, that you have pictures of a certain event space, and then you renovate the space and you want to update the material to be the latest. It can be easily done in the media bank as well. You can add PDFs and videos on top of images also to the media bank. And then, of course, it's relatively easy to update any of the material that you have in the Seidat presentations with the built-in slide editor, which is very comprehensive and allows you to do pretty much any kind of slide that you may wish for. Yeah, then let's jump into a few of the things that we have planned out. We won't go too far into nitty-gritty on different individual features that may or may not come, but the general direction that we're going with the tool. And before we jump into any of actual features, I want to point out where Visualizer tool and Seidat tool, now with the new name, will be. It's very much in the front line of sales. So you typically have the back office where you may have the tools and updating the CRM or having salespersons attend coaching or whatever. And then sort of the other axis is that you have processes and set ways of working, and then you have the culture on how people behave, how they lead themselves, and all that. And then from the left to right, you typically have tools that you use in the customer meetings and so on. And then you may have CRM tools like Salesforce, for example. And these tools need to communicate with one another. So it is one of the things that we will work on heavily is making sure that the different tools and assets that you use communicate with one another. Then maybe another challenge in today's hospitality sales, before we go into the future of the tool itself with the features, is that it is somewhat fragmented in how the industry works. As you most likely know, you may have, for example, in hotels example, you may have a hotel chain which operates part of the hotels themselves, and then you may have external operators which operate both some other brands, and then they also operate the hotel chain A, in this case their branded hotels on behalf of the actual hotel chain. And it creates sort of a challenge in this way, that how does the hotel chain ensure that the material that the external operator, or even in some cases multiple operators, use is up to date, follows the brand. Whenever there's an update, they get updated, and so on. That is a challenge that the future Seidat tool will help in so many ways. And one of the ways that we will do this is the Seidat database. Seidat database, to put it simply, is a place where you can store any information about the hotel chain, or the individual hotel, or even the room or the event spaces. So regardless on how you update the material to the database, it can be through integrations or it can be through manually updating. it will be updated on the database, and then you can choose whether to update the smart elements used in all of the materials that you may have. So you may have presentations, you may have 360 tours, virtual tours, or whatever content you may have, proposals. You can update them once the database is updated. It saves a lot of time. In our point of view, the time spent on updating the same content all over again is not really a smart time to use, or smart thing to use time for, rather. And it also ensures that the possibility to change what you want to show in some cases on a one slide. And here is an example of what it could look like in again a hotel case, that you may have some different features of a room, or different room types, for example, and each of the room types has a base price, and they may have some amenities that you may want to change and show. Once you update those information to the database and have those again used in the smart elements, it is then pretty seamless that once you update them to the database, they will be updated elsewhere, and there's no possibility to show the wrong price in the B2B sales materials, for example. That's very very briefly about the database. The other direction I want to point out is the digital sales room, which will be in very heavy focus moving forward. And if digital sales room is a new term that or a buzzword that you haven't heard before, it essentially means a place where you may have all of the content that you share to a client. So you may discuss with a big client from your country, and they might be potentially having an event at your space. You may be sending them some common materials like the introduction to the hotel or event space. You may have some videos, you may have some capacity charts, 360 tours, proposals, you name it, and those typically are very scattered all over the place. And the digital sales room allows you to have those in one place, ensuring that the customer experience on the buyer side is on a diamond level. So they don't have to keep searching for the materials that is sometimes in the email and sometimes delivered on Google Drive or whatever. They are in one place. And on your side, it must be easy to update the materials, that they are not just static materials that the customer once received, that you can update them easily, either directly or again through integrations. Then you may have the need to do communication between you and the customer. So that is again one place where you could do it all. Here is a quick example of a digital sales room concept that we developed. Of course, it can be branded to any brand identity you have, and then this would be the view that the customer would see. So they would have, if you can scroll down and make a bit on this, you may see the introduction text. You can add there any content. You may have the general content or 360 visualizer presentation, or you may have a chat there or anything else. It doesn't really matter what it is. It is just one place for all the communication and content the customer may have. And then the customer can open any material from the from the digital sales room and browse it through at their own pace. And then you can see from the analytics what the customer has viewed and what they haven't viewed, and that's pretty much it. I covered this a bit in the last minute or so, but again, to summarize, the digital sales room that we will develop in the future is much more comprehensive tool than Seidat and Visualizer have been in the past. So it will have essentially all the sales material that you share to the client in one place, and those will include the 360 virtual tours, for example, and it can include also chatbots and any presentations, including proposals and so on. So the content is not the limiting factor, and of course it must be that you can adjust it to be following your brand. It must be easy for the client to access. Then there will be the analytics and notifications, so you will see how the materials have been viewed and when. And then to add on top of that, you may add a chat functionality there, so you can have a discussion directly in the digital sales room with the customer. You can send some materials like proposals to be e-signed once the customer has reached that point. And of course, it has to be mobile friendly for the users to use. So this allows much better communication with the client. And if we go back to this slide, how does it then correlate to managing from the hotel chain to the external operator, for example? Some of the material that you may have in the digital sales room may come from the hotel chain itself. So it can be parts of the presentations or the virtual tours or whatever would be directed from the hotel chain. So they would essentially create the material and deliver it to the external operator. And then the external operator also must be able to create the proposals and whatever they need to create, since they actually run the boots on the ground. So it is sort of back and forth operations, of course, with the content, but this allows both parties in this example to succeed. Of course, it doesn't need to be sort of that one dictates like general material. It can be that it's just individual hotel, for example, could use the digital sales room, and they would just have their own content there, and then they can create the room, add whatever content they want to that room, and it would be that. And then again, going back a bit, the digital sales room may be updated, or the materials in the room may be updated through database and smart elements. So it all makes it may sound very confusing in the beginning, but it is designed to make your life very much easier in the future. Miikka, do you have anything to add on top of these on the future? You have been very heavily involved in the development of our future.
I think you have covered it pretty well. I think something that may be obvious to you watching currently in the webinar, or maybe later watching this on the video, but maybe I should say that out loud as well, is that of course the presentation that we're using in this webinar was created with the Seidat tool.
Yeah, that's a good point. So you can create materials. We have used in the webinar, we have used 360 tours, virtual tours, running on Visualizer. We have used PDFs. Well, we haven't used videos in this one, but we could have. So it's a very comprehensive presentation tool with all the features that the typical hospitality company might require on top of just the presentation tool. But yeah, For those who are now attending live, do you have any questions? You can either open your mic or say them in the chat if you want, if you have anything. While you're thinking about the questions, I'll plug our Seidat Academy. So we publish all our webinars and content about general stuff about the tool on the seidat.com address. So Visualizer's website remains in use, so you can access that. And the tool, I have to point out that the Visualizer Visit tool that you've been using will remain in use for years. But once you want to enroll to the new tool, you're more than welcome to test and start using the future Seidat Visualizer tool with the digital sales room and stuff whenever you're ready. But anyways, yeah, the Visualizer Visit remains, but in the future we will follow the Seidat brand. Seidat website is a good place to get resources on both Seidat itself as a presentation tool, but also Visualizer Visit and Visualizer Assistant related content as well, like this webinar. But yeah, we haven't received any questions in the chat, at least. So maybe we wrap this webinar. We're a bit ahead of schedule, but that's always good if we can compress the content down into bite-sized pieces. Mika, do you have any last words before we end the webinar?
Just that if you afterwards, of course, come up with any questions, or maybe you watch this later again on the video or the recording of this and come up with some questions, then you can contact either Joona or me via email or even call us. Or I believe Joona's calendar is also on the Seidat website, so you can even book a meeting directly from there if you have something that you want to discuss further with us, either regarding the Visualizer Visit product or the Seidat product or the future where these two will be combined.
Perfect. All right. Thanks everyone joining live, and thanks for those watching the recording later. See you in the next meetings.
Bye.